Well, that was pretty scary. I was recruited by Bud Moore, and I was down here on a Sunday morning, and it was my mom and one of my neighbors, and we're sitting in Coach Bryant's office, and Coach Moore was sitting in front of Coach Bryant's desk, and we're just sitting there having a nice friendly chat. All of a sudden, the door bursts open. Coach Bryant walks in, goes around to his desk, starts fumbling through his desk or something, doesn't even realize we're sitting there. And he says, oh, I'm sorry, Coach Bryant. Anyway, he apologized for bursting in on the meeting. It was in his office. So anyway, he was just very cordial, scared me to death. I jumped to my feet immediately, shook his hand, and said that he was late for his TV show, and he hoped that I would consider coming to the University of Alabama. So that was one of my first times. And another time I was my spring of my freshman year, and we had this 3-on-3 drill, and I was on the sideline, and I'd never played defense before. Coach Bryant just grabs me by the shoulder pads and drags me around behind the defense, kind of just puts his arm around me and starts leaning on me, and I could feel everybody's eyes just looking at me. And I was scared. I was shaking just standing next to him. And about that time, a big old offensive lineman, Bob Kreider, gets up on offense. Coach Bryant grabs the guy on defense, pulls him out, and just puts me in there. Well, man, I'm just shaking. Never played defense. Never played for Ken Donahue. I played for D. Powell, and I'm just nervous. As soon as that ball moved, as soon as it moved, I just knocked this guy, and his knees buckled. I threw him out of the way and made the tackle. Well, Coach Bryant digs in there and grabs me and pulls me up and whispers in my ear and says, "Lewis, do you think you can do that again?" And I said, "I don't know, Coach Bryant, but I think we're fixing to find out." So anyway, that was one of the ones I like to tell. The same spring, we're going against the second team defense, and we were running the opposite team's or another team's plays, the pro set, the split back, and they were physically just showing us a piece of paper, in the huddle, and run this. We couldn't do anything right. Buddy Pope, I remember, was saying something about Coach Bryant coming out of the tower, and I didn't pay any attention to him, so we weren't supposed to move. We knew we had the first team defense coming, the HHs. Coach Bryant walked out of the tower. He walked in the huddle, and everybody took a step back. And he said, in all my 18 years here at the University of Alabama as head coach, that's got to be the worst period I've ever seen in my life. And he used some other colorful words. He said, now the NCAA says we can only have 18 of these practices, but it doesn't say a thing about how long they're going to be. He goes, if y'all don't start, we're going to repeat this period after practice. If y'all don't start getting better, I'm going to call Miss Purdy, turn the lights on, have some food sent over. We'll be out here till we get it right. And man, the next period we went through the first team defense like they weren't there. So, and we had a very spirited session after that. So those are a couple of the ones I like to tell.
Do you have any stories about the couch?
Oh, I do have a story about the couch. The first time I went in there, I was sitting there taping I was telling this earlier to Jim Bunch and Gary DeNair. I was taping this was like a week or so into my freshman year, pads, and Bud Moore comes in the projection room and says, Lewis, Coach Bryant wants to talk to you. I said, oh my God, he's talking to me about what to say and what, and all of a sudden he just turns the corner and whips me in his office. So I sit down, and Coach Bryant did that old thing where he had to, I don't know if y'all can see this, he goes, Lewis, you're here, and we don't want you to go to here, but you were going like this for a while, and now you're here, and we want you to get back up there. And anyway, I sat on that couch, and it was solid behind him. It had two big windows and all that sunshine and the light, and be sitting there, and your eye level was a little bit about this far below the desktop, so you're looking up, and there would be some cigarette smoke in there, and it was just a very intimidating atmosphere to be in. It's kind of equal, I guess, to being in the White House talking to the president or the Pope, for the matter. But I have one more about that. My nickname is the Dancing Bear, and I played rugby up in Birmingham, and that comes from I was going to before my 76 season, and there was a guy named Matthew Diamond. He was standing in the Coliseum, and he had the leotards on, and I had taken ballet to help my coordination and footwork. I saw where Lynn Swan had taken it. But I said, hey, you're one of those ballet instructors? And he says, yeah. He said, so I talked to him for a few minutes. His name's Matthew Diamond. I said, well, how much do you get? Well, if can you teach us give us some instruction in ballet? He goes, sure. He said, well, I have to charge you. I said, well, how much do you get? And he said, well, up in New York City, a class of 20, 25 people, I get $300-400 an hour. I told the guy that, heck, 20 of us don't have 2 nickels to rub together. So I said, wait right here. And I went up to Coach Bryant's office, knocked on the door, and he hung up on somebody and went in there. And I was thinking about it all the way up there. So I told him that, got this guy, and wanted him to, told him about the opportunity. I said, he goes, what can I do for you? I said, well, we need you to pay for it. He goes, you want to do what? So I had to tell him again, and finally he leaned back, took a puff on the cigarette, looked up, and he says, Lewis, do you think it'll work? And I said, heck, Coach Brown, I don't know. It can't hurt. He says, have my secretary take care of it for you. So then he left, and the guy put us through a workout down in the wrestling room. I'll never forget Marty Lyons and Barry Krause. I think Ozzie was in there. They came up behind me and hit me in the head and almost knocked me down. They said, Lou, who is that guy? He's trying to kill us. So then Ken Donahue grabbed us, drug us in the weight room, took us out on the track, and it wasn't a very good day. Needless to say, I think the guy was around 2 or 3 years after that, and, helping with getting in your stance and foot position and pulling and all that stuff. So, well, I'd have to say the Ohio State game, we were going up against Ohio State. They were 5th or 6th in the country. And Texas was 1, Oklahoma was 2, we were 3, and Arkansas was 4. I believe Arkansas played Oklahoma. Lou Holtz kicked 4 or 5 starters off. They were playing them again for the second time in the Orange Bowl. But one of my teammates who just recently passed away, David Sadler, we were the very first play, he hits this guy that's about a foot taller than him. He's screaming at me, going, look where I put this guy. I said, David, I think they're a little more upset. Just calm down. I mean, they're not very happy with us already. So I think David Sadler and we went back down and on the second drive where we did this unbalanced play, 24 blast, and I could hear Sadler saying, it's coming right here. There ain't a thing you can do about it. And that's where the play was going. And I looked down the line at Sadie and said, Sadie, what's up? He told me to shut up. And sure enough, we did score. Tony Nathan went over the top, and we ended up beating those guys 35-6.
Other coaches that you had here, what other coaches stick out in your mind?
Well, as Jim mentioned earlier, Dee Powell was my position coach for 4 years, and I played 2 or 3 months with Ken Donahue. But Dee Powell, I dare to say I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Dee Powell, because he puts you through some things that not many people could get through. Shoots and bunkers, 3-on-3 down in the end zone, and just challenge you every day to be the best you could be every day. Oh, Jesus. Well, I think that everybody wore it. They got the opportunity to wear it. We all know what we had to do to get the chance to wear it, and what we had to go through, and what. And Coach Bryant always pushed everybody to the end. I think he wanted to know, who he could count on in the last 5 minutes of the game. And I've heard Pat Dye talk about it. I've heard Coach Brother Oliver talk about it. And it's just, it's like being in the Special Forces, I guess. I mean, being the best of the best. And looking in each other's eyes. I know Donnie Faust told me one time, he says, you're in the huddle. You're at Southern Cal. You're on national TV, and you look around. I mean, we used to see the Johnny Davis, Donnie Faust, and Steve Whitman and Bunch earlier. I looked at Bunch out there at the Coliseum. I said, Bunch, doesn't look like we're going to throw the ball. We're going to run the football. We got in a big backfield, but just Donnie put it to, you look around the huddle and you knew everybody was going to give 110, 115%, whatever it took to get the job done. And that kind of feeling, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. So, just a special, we're all very special, a special time and a special place.